Welcome to the Virginia Carolina Deer Tracts podcast. I'm Mike Davis, and I am here to talk about everything hunting, hunting land, and the great outdoors in both Virginia and North Carolina. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, everybody, here we are. It's another edition of the Virginia Carolina Deer Tracts podcast, and we got a pretty cool one for y'all tonight. We have Corey Lett and Ed Lynn from the Southside, Virginia Quail Forever chapter. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Good to be here.
Right on, man. Thank y'all for being on. We got a lot of things to unpack here. We got a big event that we're going to get into a little bit later. But before we do that, why don't we start with just talking a little bit about what Quail Forever is and just kind of get the word out there to people who may not know.
Okay. In 2005, Pheasant Forever out of Minnesota took over what was at one time Quail Unlimited, and they made it into Quail Forever. So we are a chapter of Pheasant Forever out of Minnesota, and we stay in touch with them quite often at the national office. We got our chapter started in 2016. March 9th was our first meeting. So it kicked off with a very good meeting of 35 people, and we've went from there to doing a bunch of kids activities, seed programs, and banquets to fund all of this. And we have had some great success getting kids outside, doing stuff with bird dogs and skeet shooting. And we've also got them into hunter safety courses also. And Ed has come up with a great plan or some ideas to get them out to do some food plots. So in the near future, we'll be doing that. So we set the goal for having the kids first, and then we do the habitat second, and then everything else falls into place after that.
Well, that's pretty neat. So overall, this is basically a conservation organization,
Yes.
just like the NWTF, just like the National Deer Association, just like Ducks Unlimited, and so on and so forth. I think it's absolutely spot on that you're putting your focus on the kids. Um, I've spent a lot of time on this podcast with other guests, and we all recognize without a shadow of a doubt that we got to get the kids involved. That the future is 100% at stake with that as far as activities. Ed, I think that's a fantastic idea as far as taking a hands-on approach with the food plots. I think that's an absolutely amazing idea.
Well, it's everything with kids because everything with them is hands on. They much rather be out doing something versus like in a classroom setting learning from a book. So if you can show them like the results of planting and what you get out of it, it literally plants a seed in them to keep doing it over time.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is again, that's a spot on approach. You mentioned the seed program, Corey. I'm interested in hearing a little bit about what that is.
Each year around September, October, Pheasant Forever / Quail Forever sends us out a list of seed. And we can get signature seed, which are blended seeds, which help deer, turkey, and quail populations. We can get sorghum, and we can get corn. We can get them at reduced prices, and we do an order every September of October for any member that wants to get a bag or two. In fact, like I said, that's where our fundraising comes from. If you become a member for $35, you can get 1 or 2 bags of seed. These seeds, the seeds will go to 1 to 3 acres, which can be planted in the spring or the fall. And again, it's blended to where it will bring in turkey, deer, and quail, and put some good cover and some good food for the wildlife in your field.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking earlier, Ed, that um, all of this stuff is interconnected. The quails related to the turkeys, related to the deer, and so on. And I brought that up on numerous podcasts before. So talk a little bit more about that.
Well, in conservation standpoint, in 1970 did a survey in Virginia where we had around 1 million birds on the ground in 1970. As of recent years, we have as little as they're hovering around 12,000. So
Wow.
we're losing numbers. It's a ground nesting bird is a hard animal to keep alive because everything wants to eat them.
Yep.
But if you start saving the quail, you start saving the turkeys, you do habitat improvement for your deer herd, you give cover for fawning does, hens raising poults, and quail raising chicks. It's a habitat improvement thing because we've lost so much over the years. There's this new thing with farming where they do literally field edge to field edge farming, where there's no buffers, there's no crop diversity. It's soybeans, tobacco, corn, or sorghum. That's what you see nowadays. And like it literally looks like a well-maintained lawn all the way around the field. And these birds and other animals have lost that habitat that they really need to survive. Um, and you don't see hedgerows anymore. The kid growing up, you see fence rows everywhere, where they would just growed up and like briar thickets along the edge of them, and that habitat has just been lost in so many ways. It's not just farming; it's everybody. I heard a thing today. There's 40 million acres of lawn, just lawn, in the United States. 40 million acres of just cut grass, and that's not good.
Man, I'm glad I ain't got to cut all that.
Me either.
But you know, I've talked with other people before, and I agree that I think those soft edges are important.
They're
You
huge.
know,
It's huge.
I think that's one of those things that it's very overlooked, and people don't understand how important it is. Now, I'm curious. I mean, it sounds like the numbers have dropped dramatically since the '70s.
Yes, it's
And
pretty big.
is that mostly due to development? Is it pesticide related? Is it predators? I mean, what's causing the issue there?
Do you want to handle that, Corey, or you want me to run with it?
I'll start off with it if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in our first meeting, March 9th, 2016, we had 35 people. We were very fortunate that night to have farmers, loggers, companies that did spraying for a living. So it got into a little bit of a discussion of who was at fault. It's nobody that's related one to be at fault. It's about a four different thing. The spraying hurts them. The cutting of timber, all of it hurts. The clean farming, I mean, the clean farming, we used to call it dirty farming because you had a hedgerow or you had cover all around your field, but you don't have that anymore. And then you go to the predators. So it's a four-way street there that a bird has to fight to stay alive. And you go back and you cut all of the timber where a bird doesn't have cover. Well, when he does get cover, if you spray it, it only takes a few drops of water per day for a quail. So if he gets that drop of water and he gets the poison in him, his system won't take it. So it's a trickle down effect of everything. So we don't blame or anybody. It's just one thing, the way things have gone in time and the way things have changed. It's very hard for any animal to make it right now, especially a quail. As you know, they're only the size of your fist. So it's so many predators out there other than four-legged predators that are hurting the quail.
So obviously, a lot has changed since the 1970s in terms of just EPA regulations on pesticide, all that kind of stuff. Are we seeing that, that the dip has bottomed out in terms of the population, and we're at least stable or slightly increasing now?
It
I wouldn't call it stable. We're not increasing. It's going down, if anything.
It's still going down?
Yeah.
You're fighting so many things. Feral cats. People don't trap anymore. People don't coon hunt anymore. People blame coyotes, but coyotes don't really prey on the quail. Um,
and a coyote actually can be a quail's best friend in
yeah,
several ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like the hardest problem is getting the eggs to hatch. If you don't get the eggs to hatch and the chicks on the ground, you're not going to have great steady numbers. And that's the problem is they don't have nesting habitat. Habitat loss is a big one due to development, logging, the logging practices we have now. People are so scared of fire, but we're actually starting to learn that fire is our friend. You see people who are actively burning timber tracts, and if you go there, I've been to places where you didn't hear quail 4 years ago, but if you go there now, you'll hear quails because they're
Yeah,
like
you're talking about prescribed fire?
prescribed, like a 3 year
Yeah.
prescribed fire rotation. Like if you've got 1,000 acres, you burn 300 this year, and the next year you burn 300 over here, and they just keep a rotation going. But we got away from that for so long that a whole lot of these places just have lost their habitat quality, and it's no fault. We just didn't know. A whole lot of this is because we did not know, and now we're learning that we either got to put in a lot of effort to save these birds, or we're going to say goodbye to the wild population. It's dropped 80 to 90% since the 60s all across the Northeast.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize the domino effect that could potentially have
Oh yeah,
on a lot of the other species that we enjoy here in Virginia. So,
yeah.
I agree that this is definitely something that needs to be done. So, we mentioned soft edges a little bit. What other kind of habitat things can the everyday Joe do on their place that would be helpful?
Corey, you want to do a little bit, and then I'll hit a little bit if you don't.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Even if they just pick one area of their property, it doesn't have to be all of it. Just have it to where it can be planted with something like partridge pea or something that might give them some cover and give them some food. Also, if you do have a hedgerow on the backside of your property or something, maybe leave it. Don't clean it up. I know everybody wants a beautiful farm, and I've always commented on how people keep their farms, but in dealing with this, I realized that a beautiful farm hurts the wildlife as it goes. So planting some stuff that the bird or any other wildlife might want or might like is first step. And maybe going back to just a tad bit of dirty farming. And don't get me wrong, when I say that, I'm not picking on a farmer. This can go back with any landowner at all that bush hogs or keeps clean. Just go back with a little patch somewhere that birds can go and have cover and have food. We all know that, in my opinion, I'll say that, birds are not going to leave the woods so far. They're only going to feed and then go back in to roost. So all you need is a buffer around it for them to survive or start, and then you can get more coveys, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think that buffer, it also, like we mentioned before, I'm not sure how much it does for the turkeys, but I think the deer, it makes a big difference for the deer as well.
Well, I'm
They
getting ready
hate they hate those clean edges, man. They just,
I'm getting ready to hit you with a good one. That
go ahead.
these farmers that have these nice, pretty farms and don't want to plant anything in the fields, and I understand it. You got to use every inch of your dirt to make your money. I don't fault you for that. But on your field edges, you'll recognize this. But hinge cutting, you can go in on your field edges, cut timber, push it back into the timberline. That creates a buffer. That creates safe nesting habitat. That creates everything that they need just in those little micro brush piles. And it doesn't take a lot. You just do some hinge cutting. Once again, that goes back to the turkey. The deer love that stuff to bed in.
Hmm.
You know that yourself. And you can go in the woods and do that too. And like he said, like I said earlier, burns are a big thing. You don't have to have a big piece to burn either. And planting natural grasses if possible, getting natural grasses to grow back where we manicured everything. That's a big one.
Do the invasive species stuff, how much of a role does that play on the quail population? Stuff like this fescue grass I always hear about, and stuff like that.
They can't really use it. I mean, it's
Not in my, it's not good on cover and the nutritional values, but was what I would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fescue's not good for anything but to look at.
Wow. Well, let's talk about the chapter itself a little bit. You guys are kind of, it's the Southside Virginia Quail Forever chapter. Are you located in South Hill, Virginia, kind of the
Home base. Yeah.
the home base?
The greater metropolis of South Hill.
There you go. Well, my wife and a friend of ours who is a bird dog trainer and breeder, they went to a meeting at the Lake Country chapter in 2015, I believe, and came home and said, let's do this. And so we started the process, and that's how we ended up in South Hill, and that's where our home is now. We're got quite a few members from Greenville County, Lunenburg County, other states also. So we are moving forward and definitely branching out.
Yeah, that's good. How many active
I'm
members do you have now?
If you checked our list right now, we've probably got about 90 members from our last banquet, which was 2 years ago.
That's good.
Active members, we have about 20.
Yeah.
So, it's like anything else. Some people just like coming to the banquets and supporting you. They may not be interested in getting involved. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of people come on board to get involved. And the 15 or 20 that we have are really hard workers. They're at the majority of our meetings, and they're ready for our banquets, and they do everything they can to make the kids' days successful.
Well, from what I've seen with a lot of the other organizations that I've talked to and starting to get involved with myself, is that it's a very thankless job. A lot of behind the scenes
Yeah.
effort and hours put into it that people don't have any kind of concept of what it is, how much you put into it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so,
new
so
to this, so
what's that?
I'm new to this. I literally just came on last year, so
So that's
I'm
all
a
right.
little bit.
We'll say thank you to you too, Ed. We
That's right. I mean,
appreciate what you've done so far.
I've
Yeah.
included Ed in that. So yeah, no doubt, because our youth day is March 8th was kind of a shooting from the hip, to where we only thought we'd have 4 kids. We ended up with 12. We had probably 30 adults. I think 8 or 9 retrieving dogs and 12 pointing dogs. And what we thought would be maybe a small 2 or 3 hour thing turned into an 8-hour day. And we could not have asked for anything better. And like I said, Ed and several others brought their dogs and made a big difference. And that's how we met a lot of great people that day.
Well, I think that is absolutely fantastic. I really, really do. So I, for one, I know it's thankless, but I appreciate what you're doing. I'm not much of a bird hunter myself. Maybe I'll get into it one day, but I do understand the importance of what you're doing and how it links to the importance of what I'm doing. So I very much, appreciate and respect that. Um,
Well, you're
I
doing a great
saw.
job putting us out there, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot.
Oh
Yep.
man, I'm glad to do it. I'm all about promoting anything that we've got going on with regards to hunting land, conservation in the Virginia, kind of North Carolina area. So I am all about it. So I appreciate Ed reaching out. I think it was a great idea.
Yep.
Um, from the time wise, one of the reasons that we wanted to do this is you do have an event coming up, your big fundraising event.
Yep.
And I wanted to kind of give y'all an opportunity to talk about that a little bit so we could kind of help get the word out.
September 19th. Let me see if I can find the flyer. I've got them everywhere. I'll just show you what we've got. But September 19th in South Hill, we're going to do our 8th banquet. And this is where we raise a lot of our funds. It's going to be a nice dinner. It'll be a social, live auction, silent auction, and we'll have plenty of other raffles going on. You can get a table, or you can be a sponsor, or you can get a couples ticket or a single ticket.
Now, if people, before we get too far into that, if people are interested in finding out more about how to be a sponsor, about how to get a ticket, how to get a table, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
where can they find more information?
They can actually go on to www.quailforever.org. They can get the tickets there, and the price list is there. I'll be happy to give my phone number. People can contact me anytime, and you'll be seeing some flyers around and some banners going up hopefully this week with the information also. But like I said, I'll be happy to give everybody my number. I'll leave it here. And but right now, this year, for the first time or second time since we've been doing this, our tickets are on the website quailforever.org.
Okay. And how much is a typical ticket?
A single ticket is $70, and that gets you your membership and dinner. A sponsor is 2 dinners and a membership plus raffle tickets and into the sponsor drawing. Table is $650. It'll get you 8 dinner tickets, 1 membership, special gift, and then it'll get you raffle tickets, and it'll get you entered into a raffle that's only for table sponsors only.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of raffles can people expect at this event?
We will have, let's just start with the table. We will have probably 3 3 to 4 prizes, and they can range from guns to coolers to grills to tool sets that we'll draw a name out of the table sponsors, and they will win something like that. Same thing goes for the regular sponsors. It could be guns, coolers, fishing rods, anything of that nature, something you definitely want to keep or something you want to use. We'll have a raffle where it's a wingspan. For $20, you can go in to get a Yeti cooler, and it's going to have Quail Forever on it. And this year it's in red, white, and blue colors, real pretty. We'll have the wall of guns. We'll have a bingo raffle board where you put your name in a square, and we'll call a letter and a number. And if your name is in that square, you win a gun. We will also have other raffles where you can purchase tickets for $20 or $100 for a book, and you can drop them in a bucket for hunting blinds, guns, or anything of that nature. This year, for the first time, we're going to have a trophy hunting blind donated by S&K Dozer Service out of Ebony, Virginia. They wanted to be a big part of this, and they wanted to get their name out there, and they donated a trophy blind, and they also sell these blinds. So they donated the blind. We're going to sell 300 tickets at $20 a piece, and somebody will get a really nice blind with a good setup.
That's outstanding. Not to compare it to the National Wild Turkey Federation, but that's the image that's coming in my mind.
Yeah.
Is it set up very similar to one of their banquets?
Yeah, all of them are the same. I mean, it's the same kind of other than having a few different games or a few different raffles. Everybody does the same. I mean, it's the same outline. You're just doing of course, helping a different group. Now I'm going to say this, and I'm not knocking anybody, so don't think I am. But the one good thing about our group is our money stays right here where we are. I did know at one time with the turkey and with DU, a lot of their money, the majority of their money went out to other states where our money does not. It stays right here to help us and do what we want to do, and it's there for us at all times. So we don't have to raise the funds to help other places, I guess. So, and that may have changed in the DU or the turkey, so I don't want to overstep. But right now, all of our money stays with us.
Well, I think that's a pretty neat point. Because, like I said, like you said, I don't, they change, but I think historically speaking, I think you're right that a large percentage of that money kind of goes to the national outfit, and not saying that it's not being put to good use. But I do think that it's pretty neat that what you're saying is that the local money stays local.
Yeah.
And I think that will resonate with a lot of people. I really do.
And let me go ahead with the banquet also. I didn't touch on this, but we have a great catering company coming in, Four Seasons, and you get a prime rib dinner or either a chicken cordon bleu with all the sides, dessert, and everything. So it's going to be a great night. It's like I told somebody the other day, for if you want a table, get 8 people, and for about $60 or $85, you can come out and have a great evening and enjoy yourself with some great friends. And it's wife friendly and kid friendly. We want everybody to come. And it's doors open at 5:30, and we usually try to wrap up by 9:30.
And that is on Friday, September 19th.
Yep.
Where I know it's in South Hill, but where's the event located?
It's going to be at the Exchange Warehouse, the newly renovated warehouse, 408 West Danville Street.
Okay.
Right.
I shared, somebody had posted a picture of the flyer earlier, and I've already shared that on the Facebook page. But I will also be sure to, share the links to the website where people can buy tickets, share the link to y'all's Facebook page, whatever we need to do to help spread the word. I think I think y'all are doing some very important work, and, I certainly want to support that however I can.
I want to interject this because Ed and I have talked quite a bit, and Ed knows where I want to go with things, or where we want to go with things. I try not to say I want to say we, but we want to go into the area of like having a committee that will do something for the kids as in the food plot section. We want to have a committee that will be able to go with them and do some skeet shooting. So anybody out there that's interested, and if you don't want to be a member, that's fine. But if you want to help out, do something, or be a part of it, we welcome that also. So we're looking to move forward with committees to be able to handle different things. And you don't have to do something each month. If you just do some once a year, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It's different.
How often do y'all meet?
We try to meet every 3 to 4 months. That is my fault because I thought about it yesterday for some reason. After doing this for 9 years, I finally realized I probably need to put out a schedule. And I shoot from the hip in a way and text everybody and say, hey, does this day work for you? But I guess we should sit down with a schedule. That way everybody knows and nobody has to wonder. But we try to meet every 3 to 4 months. And we try to have a guest speaker if possible. I would love to get back to that in 2026. That makes a big difference. We've had dog breeders, dog trainers. We've had people who do prescribed burns for a living. We've had game preserves come down. We've had people talk about trapping. So I want to get back to a guest speaker in 2026 at each meeting to just kind of so they don't have to listen to me all the time.
Now the meetings always pretty much like held somewhere in South Hill.
Well, here recently we've been we started in South Hill. We went to Bracy to a friend's garage. He was let us use that place. Once he had to redo some stuff, we ended up going to a local hunting club, which has worked out really well. It's not too far off the beaten path. Now, what we do at our meetings, we have appetizers and we have a social where people can get to know each other. Then we have a dinner. We always provide a meal of some sort. We have a meal for them, and then try to get our meeting started about 7 o'clock and usually wrap up by 8 so we don't hold everybody up from getting home. So we make a very nice evening of it.
That sounds very appealing. I can see why people would want to participate in that. You know, food is always the key.
Does it bring them in?
Yeah, you offer free food, they're gonna show up.
That's right. That's right.
And I was gonna make a point. You heard Corey bring up the word dog, and you heard me talk about my dog. You see me looking around the porch, and he's running around the porch. This isn't about quail hunting necessarily.
Yep.
This is pretty much all about our dogs. If we want to go actually hunt quail, most of the time we hunt pen raised quail. I hunted wild quail several times last year. I flushed 2 coveys. I never shot one. We don't really want to hunt these birds that are wild. We want to try and bring the numbers up. And because we are lucky here in Virginia, we still have a sustainable population, quote unquote, that we can actually have a hunting season on. But we would like to see that number grow. And that's where all this is actually headed. But it's all about the dog for me personally. I know the same for Corey and everybody else pretty much that's out there. It's all about the dog work for us.
Well, I certainly have seen how much effort that you have put into that dog.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, so I you know, you're not blowing smoke, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, that's legit.
Yeah. It's
What
a job.
What you said made me think of something though, and I probably should have asked this earlier. We talk about the quail populations being down. How does Virginia compare to the rest of the country? You know, is it pretty similar everywhere, or we middle of the pack, or how's Virginia look compared to other states with population?
It all depends on who you ask. This spring, personally, I've heard between 40 and 50 wild birds whistling this spring myself. But that's within like a 3-county radius. I travel a lot. I'm in the woods a lot, so I try to keep count of everyone I hear. But I can go to places in South Carolina right now where there was traditionally wild quail everywhere, and you don't hear a peep. And that's a sad thing to think that you might go out in the woods and not hear that whistle.
Yeah.
But we're lucky we can actually still do it here. That's one of the things we are fortunate, because there are places in the South that the quail just doesn't exist anymore. They're just gone. And fire ants plays a big part in that too. The further south you go, fire ants, big part.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they really?
They'll find a quail nest, and as soon as the eggs start to hatch, they'll just mob the nest and kill the chicks.
Wow.
Fire ants are a big issue the further south you go.
Wow.
Yeah, we have them here, but not as bad as other places.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I see the fire ant mounds on a lot of farms that I go on.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it had a effect on the quail. That's very, I don't know that interesting's the right word. Maybe disturbing's the right word. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you don't want to watch a video of it. It's pretty hard. It's
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is, I mean, obviously that's I mean, that's a great example of the kind of education that we all need in terms of understanding what's going on out in the field
yeah.
that has a negative effect on the population and is something that, takes some work, but something that we need to
That's
pay some
another
attention to,
another thing we could combat. Another thing we can try to help the birds is getting rid of the fire ants if possible. But yeah, the further south you go, the way more prevalent they are. And like I said, they're not the all end all be all, but there's a virus that goes around too that the quail get. It makes them go blind. They pick it up, it's a worm they'll eat, and literally the quail eats it, and within I'd say a week he goes blind, and a little bitty bird that size goes blind. He can't see. There's a food on the market. It's called quail safe that you can actually put out in feeders for the wild quail, and they eat it, and it's a dewormer, and it keeps them living. They've done studies with that in Texas where they saw like 300% recovery rates on ranches out there where they were actually treating the quail with quail safe. But that's a totally different animal when you get down in the southwest part. There's different like battles they're fighting down there compared to
Yeah,
us.
but
But
we're not battling that here.
I personally don't know if that's here, but I know that it's been talked about that it might be spread, it might have spread all the way this way as well. I don't know personally on that, but I
Gotcha.
know that that's a big thing that does cause the quail to go blind. Literally a parasite they pick up.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. Need to do some
That's
stuff.
for
I haven't done my homework on that here. Like I said, I'm new to the whole Quail Forever thing. I haven't done my homework, but I love these little birds. I've grown up with them my whole life. Just it sucks to see them disappearing the way they are.
Yeah. Yeah, it does for sure. For sure. I mean, even for me, who, I'm not a quail enthusiast per se, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
100%. Um, one thing that I did notice on the social media stuff, and we've talked about the NWTF before, but there seemed to be some genuine support of of your organization for the NWTF banquet and vice versa. And I think it's a good thing to see. I think we all recognize we all might be fighting for the same slice of pie, so to speak, but all these organizations supporting each other, I think is super important, and I really like to see that.
Makes a big difference. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
a major thing with our local chapters is 90% of us that are in the Quail Forever chapter, we're in the NWTF chapter as well. Like we work hand in hand, literally on both sides of the fence there.
well, good. Um, you know, not that you need any help, but I'm part of a new branch of the National Deer Association that started in Virginia. And I feel like our core values and our paths very much align with what you guys are talking about. So, we can talk later after the podcast is over, but I can, we don't have a lot to offer at this point, but I can certainly see us getting involved with some of those things that you guys are talking about, some of the food plots with the kids and all those different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'd be interested in participating and helping for whatever that's worth. I think that'd be
And
super cool.
I
That makes
talked to Corey. I talked to Corey, and we talked about in the spring of the year before planting season and everything else, kind of have like a habitat improvement workshop. We're going to try to get the
Yeah.
biologists down and try and talk to not only farmers but landowners. That's a big thing because a lot of people own large tracts of land that don't farm and they don't really know how to manage it. They
No,
want they
you're
want
right.
to, but they just don't know how to. So if we can give anybody the avenue for education, that's a big plus too. So
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What I like about that, and again, I'm not trying to knock on any other organization. I'm not. But I
no.
love the fact that this has got a kind of a hands-on vibe to it, that you're actually doing something to create, positive change and education and awareness in your area. It's not just a money grab. And again, I'm not accusing any other clubs of being that way, but I think you know what I'm saying. Like, it's not just to show up to a convention, everybody have a good time, buy your stuff, and then you never hear anything out of them again until the next year. You're
Hey,
actually
baby.
you're
Nothing
doing
like
some things. So, um, man, I support that. I support that 100%, man. I like hearing that.
Thank you. We try to welcome kids from other organizations. Like you said, we're all working together. So if kids from the Turkey or DU or Deer or any want to come to us, we're open for them to come. We want to see them, and I want them to learn. And whether they're a member or not, just keeping them active, keeping them doing something, teaching them something. I'll tell you, at this last one we did March 8th. About a month later, 2 months later, a friend called me and he said, "I hate you." I said, "Why?" He said, "I had to go buy a bird dog." And I loved it. I loved it. He said, my son worried me about a dog. We got a dog. And he said, he's in heaven. I said, "That's great." I said, "That is the best thing ever." So we had several of those type of coming to us about, you made a change, you made a difference. My son wants to bird hunt more. My son wants a dog. My son wants this type of gun, or my daughter saw this, she likes this. So when you hear things like that, you just smile because you're headed in the right direction. And
That's right.
whether you get one or whether you get 12, it's a win. So it was a win, that day.
every one count.
Yep.
No doubt. No doubt. Now, one question I thought about while you were talking about that. How far does your chapter reach? Like, what kind of an area? I mean, are people coming from Richmond, or is it really more localized to, Mecklenburg, Brunswick, Lunenburg, that kind of stuff?
We've had, in fact, we unfortunately just lost one of our members in Richmond, passed away, and he and his wife came down from Sandston to every meeting, to every banquet, and tried to be at everything we did. And they came down, like I said, religiously to be with us. So we've got them from Richmond, probably 2 hours out would be the most, I'd say. We do have some people that were traveling through that saw our banquet. They came over. We don't talk to them very often. We don't see them very often, but they just travel through. And if they can do something, they let us know. But the majority of it is right here in the 5 or 6 counties. And then we stretch right into North Carolina also.
Okay. Well, that makes sense since we're right on the border.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, listen, I think that I think we've kind of covered the full gamut here. Just kind of talking a little bit about what your organization is, what your chapter's all about, and talking about the big event that you got coming up on September 19th. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you feel like we need to get out there?
I think we've done very well covering it. I think you hit on it a little while ago that made me think. You're not in it. Don't be in it for the money. Don't be in it to have that big bank account. Be in it and make it count. Use what you have and make it count toward the kids. Make it count toward the habitat. Put it out there and don't look at the check that you're gonna get. Look at what you're gonna get with that check. Whether it's $10,000 or 20,000, make it work to your advantage. And when you said that a little while ago, you said not to worry about the money. I think that's one of the most important things for any organization. Put your priorities first, and then everything else will fall right into place. Quail Forever had it where, and I'm not knocking them, but when we first started, they had the children like on the second or third thing going down the list. Not that they were not doing it, because Quail Forever has a program that's no kid left indoors.
That's great. That's
Big.
awesome.
They came up with it, and it's big. It's really it is. But we took that list of where they had it, and we put the kids first and the habitat second. And when we did that, we saw a big difference, because as you mentioned a little while ago, it's all about the kids, teaching them, getting them out there, and they're the future of what we're doing right now.
Man, that was well said, Corey. Well said. Ed, you got any final thoughts?
Just kids of the future, man. That day, that hunting thing, I got lucky enough to get invited, but the amount of like discipline and camaraderie you saw between these kids who had never met before. Like these kids don't know each other from anything, different school districts. Making sure everybody was safe. They did an awesome job. And like Corey said, if it's 1 or 12, only like if we get one, that makes the biggest difference in the world because without them, we don't have a future in this at all. And it's not about right now. That's the big problem. People can only see here. They need to look here. They
Yeah.
need to quit looking at what's right here. Just like the big land grab we just went through with the government. We got
Right.
lucky. We kept that. Once again, got to quit thinking about money. It's all about what you get in return in the long run. They can't quit looking past their nose to see what's in front of them. And I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing with everybody and with anything. But kids definitely are the main focus for this. And I don't know, man, is if you ever have the time to come to one of these events, and if your kid is even like the slightest bit interested in learning, bring them. We will teach them any and everything we know. But that's like what Corey said, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there with the public land, you know, whatever you want to call it, dilemma or whatever we were dealing with there. And I've mentioned this on other shows, you know, and one of the if there was a silver lining to that whole situation is that it brought all of the bickering hunting groups together.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All the groups that are normally bickering among themselves about what type of hunting and all this different crap that everybody's fighting about. I don't know of any hunting group that was not in 100% agreement that public land needed to stay public.
Yeah.
And
We're in a big community, but people forget there's one word in community that we all have to practice. That's unity. Because divided, we fall big time.
yeah. And what I'd also like to say on that is, you know, it was a very emotional response that everybody had, including myself, to the thought of losing that public land, right? Kind of falls into that category of you don't know what you have until it's gone kind of deal.
Yeah.
So now that has passed, at least for now, I hope forever, but
Oh no, we're gonna fight it again.
right. But what I want folks to do is remember how they felt about that. And don't let that go. I want you to turn that into something positive and say, hey, you know, what could I do different? Well, this is the kind of, you know, Quail Forever is the kind of thing that you can do different. Get involved with these local organizations that are working so hard, you know, to, you know, just all about habitat and conservation and continuing the traditions that we all know and love that could just, you know, I don't think folks realize how fragile it is and how quickly it can go away,
We could lose it.
you know,
Mhm.
either through the just continued decimation of the quail population or through freaking government regulations or the loss of public land. So if you're listening out there, you know, I want that to be a call of action to y'all to get involved. Don't be on the sidelines anymore.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Don't talk
There's a
about
lot of
it, be
people that
about it.
talk about there's a lot of people that talk about conservation and they don't put the boots on the ground. Like
That's right.
and
Yeah.
that's the big thing with us and I've seen with this group is it's hands on, boots on the ground. It's not a bunch of hoopla and boopla. If we say we're gonna do something, we do it. And that's a big thing I've seen. Like you should have seen like seriously, those kids I'll go back to this to the day I die. The joy. The joy that was on their face, you just wouldn't imagine it at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
That's right.
No doubt.
Well, that is awesome. Well, guys, I think that is a perfect way to wrap this up. And I thank both of you so much. Corey Lett, president of the Southside Virginia Quail Forever chapter. Mr. Ed Lynn, not sure what your
Transient.
title is. He's just a
I'm
dude.
just I got
He's
my
just a
hands, I got
guy.
my hands and everything.
That's all right, man. Listen, I appreciate it. It was a great conversation. I hope this helps to spread the word.
We appreciate
And
you. Thank you for your time and doing what you do.
No,
Yeah, thank
man,
you so much.
glad to do it, Ed. Thanks for reaching out with the idea. It was a great idea.
Yes.
And again, I'll put all the you know, whatever links you guys want uh, to the event, to your Facebook page, to the Quail Forever website, whatever we want to do, will help spread that word. So thanks again, fellas,
Thank you.
and we'll
Catch you
we'll
on the
we'll
next
do it
one, man.
again sometime.
Let's look
Yeah.
forward to it.